what are you doing for staying organized? Because young people like us, we got the energy, but unthrottled and it's dangerous.
I'll tell you something that most people they're not going to like what I'm about to say.
Oh.
And it's going to ruffle some feathers, and it is what it is because it's the truth. But time management's a choice. And I find that most people choose to find things that make them feel busy instead of things that are intentionally going to move the needle in their business or in their life. A lot of people don't know this. Elon built a search engine that no one even knows about. He never even talked about it. He just built his own search engine.
Wait, when you say Elon Musk?
Yeah, so Elon Musk owns Grok. People, meaning us, cannot solve complex. AI can solve complex problems. And as this technology gets bigger and faster and smarter, I believe that there is a huge world of abundance out there if you know how.
So today we have the man of real estate, of coaching, of AI, all kinds of stuff. Trey Willard, welcome to the show.
Woke up to silence in the morning light. Shadows of us linger in the corners. Your scent is fading, but it haunts me tight. This empty space.
Skippity boop bop bop. Welcome back to Techniques Tailored, and we are back today, and we are tailoring our technique to real estate. And I'm very well known to be big inside of ChatGPT, so I use it to basically find out anything. And so I searched who's the best realtor and it overloaded and it froze up. But in Baton Rouge is Trey Willard. So today we have the man of real estate, of coaching, of AI, all kinds of stuff. Trey Willard, welcome to the show.
What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Dude, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be here with you. I'm excited to be in this beautiful facility, man. This is awesome, dude.
I love that, man. I love that. I know you're a busy guy, so to get you in here is very difficult. I mean, you just came from a lunch where you recognized a lot of winners within your team.
Yes, sir.
And it's no small feat what they did. So what was that about?
Yeah, so we just went over to the new, is it Tacos del Cartel over in Perkins Row, former location for... It wasn't there for very long. A place out of Mandeville, Covington. What's it? Habaneros. Yeah, Habaneros. Anyways, beautiful place, man. Really nice. Great lunch. Had the octopus tacos, which I recommend. They're really good.
That sounds good.
So every month, and it was funny, man, we used to do this $1 million lunch for my top agents. So anybody on my team who would sell $1 million a month in sales, we take them, their choice, right? They get to pick a restaurant, and it was an opportunity for us to mastermind. So we did that for a long time, and then all of a sudden it was just like we couldn't quite get everybody on the same schedule, and I started doing $100 gift cards instead. Well, my leadership team was like, we don't want the $100. We want time with you. We want to go and sit down, and we want to just spend some intimate time in a one-on-one setting. Can we do that? And I was like, absolutely. I would prefer to do that than give you $100 anyways. So we just celebrated. Aaron and Richard both hit the $1 million mark this month, and or I say last month. So we celebrated their success today.
Man, that's awesome. I love how they want to get more time with you. And so I, for one, understand that you are a high performer. And so you think differently, you operate differently. A lot of people sometimes, they may not be able to identify with some things. And so I want to find out where all that came from. Like, where did all that start? Because I'm new to Baton Rouge. I only been in Baton Rouge for a little bit when Gordon hired me from the oil field. Like, I was working in Port Fourchon driving 18-wheelers. I don't know anything. People's like, oh, just go to this neighborhood or this group and this crew. So it's fascinating to see every time I find out someone's a realtor in Baton Rouge. I'll ask, Trey Willard, and they like, boom, heads. And I'm just like, because I always like to see people's reactions around town when I mention things. Because everyone knows everybody, and I just cannot remember any, names. Good with faces. So I said,
By
Trey.
the way, there is a law, and it starts with a D. It's not Dawson's Law, but it's somewhere around there. What it says is that the capacity of your brain, you only have capacity to remember faces and names of 1,500 people.
Wow.
I find that to be a little low. I think I could probably say I'm somewhere between 3,500 and maybe 4,000 people. But I think that's a skill, and I think over time that's something you build. So it's funny. It's not really crazy that you don't remember a lot of people's names.
Man, that's a lot of people. I could probably think about 20 people's names right now. And other than that, I don't know about 1,500. But it's impressive, your knowledge and expertise on a lot of things. And when I asked if they know Trey Willard, of course they do. And they first and foremost know about the size of your team. And so I want to know, how did your team get to that size? You mentioned how you do a lot of team building. That's one thing. Gordon is front door.
Yeah. You
can walk in, and it seems like you have that. And I'm sure that developed with mentorship, and I understand you come from a very powerful group, and I want to hear more about that. So just, who is Trey Willard?
Yeah, so can I start at the beginning?
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know where you came from, because sometimes if you see people, you have this this vision or this expectation of overnight success. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, man. I mean, I grew up in Watson, Louisiana, went to Live Oak High School, graduated from Live Oak in 2000, went to LSU, and I graduated from LSU in 2007. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I graduated in general studies, of all things, technical sales, business, and marketing. Were my three minors. Business administration, technical sales, and communications. So I was in the service industry forever, right? I loved waiting tables. I loved building relationships. I loved helping people. I loved giving people great experiences. That was just something that I was a very selfless person. I just wanted everybody around me to have a good time. And people would always tell me, like, you would be really good at real estate. And at the time, you're looking at real estate and you're like, man, it's kind of like a female-dominated industry. I don't really know anything about real estate. And I had a really good friend of mine at the time, a guy named Tim Houck. He actually waited tables with me at Cheesecake Bistro, and he was working part-time at the restaurant and then part-time in real estate to get into full-time. And so I just kind of followed him along his journey. And then there became a time when he asked me, he's like, hey, look, I need leverage in my world, right? I need to hire an administrative assistant. But I think you'd be a great agent. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I did it, man. So I was, some people know this about me. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I was a professional DJ.
What? I didn't even know that.
Oh, man, yeah. So, dude, I was a resident at the Varsity for several years. The office downtown. I had a residency at the Metropolitan in New Orleans, at Republic in New Orleans, another little like boutique place called La Faire. And
did I tell you I just bought a DJ deck?
No, dude, I could teach you how to use it.
Dude, I would love that, because I mean, imagine if I like made my own music for songs and just go live on. I did not.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a whole nother.
DJ Trizay, man, look him up. He's still around.
Trizay?
Yeah, he's still around.
That DJ Trizay?
Trizay, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I always like to find out people's DJ names.
Yeah, Trizay. Yeah. Man.
Brandon, what's your DJ name, Brandon? What about you, T? Yeah, I need to come up with one.
You got to come up with one.
Anyway, I get sidetracked.
I like Taylor Technique.
The Technique. I did one DJ. I'd have to find it. I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, back to the subject. And two, with the memory span of 20 faces.
Yeah.
I have a memory span of Dory on Nemo too. So just keep me focused.
I got you. We'll bring you back. Hey, reel it back in, bro.
Hey, that's what you do best, man.
So I did the DJ thing, which was awesome, because the DJ thing really helped me bridge the gap between working in the real estate, moving me into a situation where I could financially afford to go into real estate full time. So I would DJ Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I would do real estate the other 7 days of the week. And it got to a point I'll never forget when my wife looked at me. She's like, look, you're having some pretty good success in this real estate thing. Are you going to shut this DJ thing down? And I was like, yeah, it's time. So got into real estate. And again, fortunate enough to have been mentored by Tim Houck. I read a book that he had recommended, and it was The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And still to this day, that book was written in 2001. I'd say it's 2025. That book is still relevant today as it is the day that it was written, right? Some things have changed, some systems, some processes, the way you communicate with people, things like that. But the material is still incredibly important. And it said, lead generate for 3 hours a day and have conversations with folks about real estate. So very literal person. So just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's what I did. So I would show up to the office every day, because that's what I think you do in a career. I think you show up every day and you put in work. And I did that, man, and I was consistent with it for, again, now I'm in celebrating my 15th year in the business now.
Wow.
And started off as an assistant. So I think about like the Michelin star chef who started in the dish room, right? That's kind of like my path. So I kind of learned every part of the process and refined every part of the process. And now I'm a team leader. And again, my goal now is to continue to grow and scale the business as we've done over the last several years. So I don't know if I answered that question the way
you definitely nailed that out the park.
Needed it to be answered. But yeah, so I started there. And now if I had to go back and say the one thing, I was fortunate enough to start real estate coaching pretty early in my career. And I started coaching at with Tom Ferry, right? Tom Ferry is the #1 real estate coach in the planet, has been for the last several years. And I have a great relationship with Tom personally. We talk often. And then shout out to a good friend of mine, John Sheplack, who lives in town, who's right up there with Tom Ferry as far as just an amazing real estate coach. And he lives here, and him and I have become really good friends. So when you have people like that in your world, and you're exposed to what you're exposed to being around these kind of guys, it gets you to think a lot differently, right? And we live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Baton Rouge as a whole is a small metropolitan relative to like other cities in the country. So I'm like, man, let me go see what other real estate agents and teams are doing in other parts of the country, and let me just rip off and duplicate their systems, their processes, right? Let me go and meet these team leaders and develop rapport and relationships with them, and let me mastermind with them. And that's what I did. And so this has been a compound of 15 years of consistency of the compound effect. And now we run the #1 real estate team in Louisiana. Megatrends just put out the results again. We were #1 team in all of the Gulf states with Keller Williams, which is Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida.
Moly.
We're in 3 markets now: Baton Rouge, Mandeville, Covington, so-called the North Shore, and then all of the greater New Orleans area. And again, man, we just continue to scale. I'd like to further scale into Mississippi, Alabama, and then eventually end up in the Panhandle of Florida.
Yeah, man, you're definitely different. You're on a different level. Your brain operates differently than others. I think it's safe to say, just to hear that. Some things there's so many things I want to ask. Just trying to keep it simple, but a few things you mentioned: the importance of protecting your environment, your mental space, and that comes from, I think, #1, your wife having a strong, backbone to that. 2, your ability to understand your weaknesses and get a mentor and leadership, and now your ability to understand. I find what you do is simplify things, and one thing you've helped me understand is, sometimes I get lost and I get really energetic, and when I get scattered or I'm too busy or overwhelmed, I'm in the woods, and you call it, I'm an operator. You're an operator through and through. And it made sense because I'm so visual and I got a big imagination.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, you says, I'm going to take you out the weeds, because you're in the weeds cutting, and get you to see, and see the whole playing field. And someone like you who sees the whole playing field, a lot of people, they find it hard to relate, because these problems that a lot of people face starting out, how can they relate? And they might think you might be a little out of touch because you've worked so hard and it's been so long since you was in that spot. I mean, do you even still sell houses, or do all your agents sell your house, right?
Yeah, so I've been the top producing real estate agent on my team for the last infinity years that I've done this. This year, I actually have a few agents that have outsold me, and I'm really proud of that moment, right? Because the goal for me is I can't continue to run at the pace and production that I am and be the CEO and visionary of the company, right? There has to be. I have to pull back the reins at some point, right? But you also have to protect profitability. You have to protect revenue. You have to protect those things. So, it's still very lucrative for me to sell real estate. So it's still something that's really important. Plus, I really enjoy the challenge in the process of selling real estate, which is what got me in this business in the first place. So, trying to balance all the things as you continue to grow and scale, and if you look at a business, right, most businesses operate in sales, marketing, and operations, right? I've been anchored down by the sales piece, like personally selling, being the sales manager for a long time. I've got an amazing marketing director, and I've got an amazing
He is a savage. I want to make sure that people know your marketing director is a savage. He is an AI machine.
He is, yeah. And so I've learned, in order to scale, you've got to find talented people, right? And you got to surround yourself with talented people. And then you just have to let those people, you have to share the vision and cast the visions, which I've done. And then I let them go and do their thing, right? I'm really good at being a visionary, and I'm really good at building, I think, talent around me. I think that's something that I've been really good at, just transferring my skills. And that's just something in this industry that you just constantly have to do. And other people are pouring into me. So I want to also give back and pour into other people. So I get a lot of energy from that.
I love that. Yeah, you know what fuels you, what drains you, and doing more of those things. You've had a lot of reps, you've tried a lot of fields, and I think your expertise, what it does is it speeds people up. It saves them money, you know, because I don't know no lingo, and I'm not familiar with Baton Rouge. I've only been here 2.5 years since Gordon hired me from being offshore. I was driving 18-wheelers, just busting my ass. Like, you know, I built this with my hands and took a risk, you know, at a tough time in my life. And it taught me that, you know, you have to put in some hard work. And it's not that it's miserable and it sucks. You got to understand that level of life and that lesson to move on to the next.
100%.
So the level that you are at, I think is just so impressive. And seeing how you think and how you handle basically a team of that many. And you talk about team, and I'm hearing these things, and you told me about earlier how you were stuck at a ceiling one time back in a long time ago of 70 units, and I'm like, poor Trey, like how I'm even getting to get one unit, you know? So how in the world, I mean, first off, how big is your team?
Yeah, so right now we got approximately 60 licensed real estate agents on the team. So again, that's spread out. The majority of those folks are in Baton Rouge, and then we have, you know, some folks on the North Shore and South Shore. So I'd say we were like 35-ish in Baton Rouge. We probably got another 10 or 12 on the North Shore, and the same. We probably have about 8 to 10 in New Orleans. So doing the math on that would be like 22 to 3 plus 35. So yeah, we're pretty, like I said, pretty close, and that's changing all the time, and it's in a good way. Like, we're growing. You know, our attrition is pretty low, while our retention is pretty high. And you know, you said something earlier about Gordon, and we talk about team building and everything. So like, when we talk about our pillars of value, right? So what does a W Group offer? Why would somebody want to come and work with us? The very first thing we talk about is not opportunities, it's not leads, it's not appointments, right? Very first thing we talk about, number one, is culture. And I think building a culture where, number one, everybody feels important. There's a time for work, and then there's a time to play. Right, and we want to have that really fun energy when you come into our office. We have a beautiful office, you know what I mean? And when you walk in, you can feel it, right? Not only that, we have great leadership and coaching from myself. My operations director was the mentee under the CEO of Geico. Wow. Right, so this guy's, I mean, he's incredibly impressive. We have, obviously, with Tom Ferry coaching that we offer our agents. Then it comes into you offer your agents Tom Ferry coaching? Yeah, so Janet Miller is our team coach. So we have a team coach. She coaches my agents for twice a month for 30 minutes a call. They get me, they get Daniel, they get Tyler. You know, not only that, we're bringing speakers in to speak to them and to, you know, transfer skills and teach them new skills. Like, that's something, like, for me, like, being in a learning-based mindset. So there's two types of mindsets, right? So there's the fixed mindset, which just basically means, like, this is what I know and I can't learn more. And there's a book that was written by Angela Duckworth, she was great, Carol Dweck. And it's called Mindset. And in the book, it talks about two types of mindsets, fixed and then abundant. And then, so you have a choice, right? So you can say, okay, cool, my mindset is fixed, meaning I can't learn anything else, right? Like, I've kind of hit my ceiling as far as, like, what I've learned and what I can learn. But if you have an abundant mindset, right, you can consistently learn and grow and scale, and it's just a choice, right? It's really a mindset shift. So for me, you know, I have an incredibly abundant mindset, and I try to pass that off to my agents all the time. It's like, guys, you can achieve it. Look, I'll say this. Henry Ford said it best: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
That's my favorite quote.
And it's such an amazing quote, and it reigns true, because it is all a mindset. So, like, you know, when you have your brain or your mind telling you all these things, right, it's really hard to, like, shut some of that stuff off and tell it, hey. But the moment you manifest that stuff and you say that stuff out loud, and there's a great book called How to Do Hard Things. It's Trevor Moawad, and it's something along those lines. But he said, stop saying dumb shit out loud. And that was, like, something I heard that really, like, hit me. Like, even if it's something I believe or I don't believe, whether it's true or not true, don't say it and it manifested unless it's good.
Words are powerful, brother.
The words are incredibly powerful, man. Yeah. So I don't even know where we were going.
I don't know, but I'll tell you how powerful words and thoughts are. We were at Blind River Bar this weekend on the Tikva, and my buddy Chris, we was on his new boat, and there was a girl who, every time we went somewhere, she was saying that she was worried when he got on the dock, she would fall. Yeah. And she was worrying about it all day. She ended up falling in the bayou.
Yeah, she fell.
I jumped in.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm so short. I can't even do nothing. But I'm in there trying to help get it up. Damn near broke my finger. But she said, I was thinking about that all day. And like your thoughts and manifestations, your actions. One thing I've learned from you is the importance of writing things down.
100%. That's
right? So everything you have, everything that's so busy, you're a busy dude.
Yeah.
So how do you manage it? Do you have an assistant? Do you use ChatGPT? Does ChatGPT run your life? Like, what are you doing for staying organized? Because young people like us, we got the energy, but unthrottled and it's dangerous. So how do you do that?
Yeah, I'll tell you something that most people they're not going to like what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to ruffle some feathers, and it is what it is because it's the truth. But time management's a choice, right? We all have the same 24 hours in the day that everybody has, right? And you can choose to be incredibly intentional with the time that you have, or you can choose to not be intentional. And I find that most people choose to find things that make them feel busy instead of things that are intentionally going to move the needle in their business or in their life. So I'll give you an example. And there's a great podcast I just listened to. This guy, again, I'm going to butcher his first name. It's not Shiloh, but Bloom is his last name, wrote a book called, I want to say it's like the 5 energies of life or something. He was on with Ed Milet, and one of the things he said that was just absolutely just gold was anything over 0 compounds. Okay, meaning if you say, well, I didn't have enough time to work out, but I only had 5 minutes, so I'm not going to work out today. So if you worked out and decided to make that 5 minutes your workout, right, that 5 minutes is going to compound over time. But anything at 0 is 0. So anything over 0 compounds, anything at 0 is nothing. So I think for a lot of people, it is purely just they're not intentional with their time. They try to find things that are non-dollar producing activities to fill the space of their day. For me, I'm just incredibly intentional. I wake up at 5 a.m. I have a powerful morning routine. I drop my kids off at school every day. I get to the office at the same time. I have a morning ritual when I get to the office, right? I live and die by my calendar. And if you do that, and then you learn how to delegate. So I'm reading a great book, How to Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, and he talks about what's called his time audit. And it's like, if you think you're just not intentional, I would encourage you to write everything that you do down in a day and you put a $sign next to it. Meaning the lowest $sign means it's the least or lowest dollar producing activity versus the more the $sign is high dollar producing, high revenue generating activity. Spend all of your time there and delegate everything else out.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example.
I just heard this yesterday from my buddy Jordan Arsenault and Dan Martell. Bro, Dan Martell's on another level, and we're gonna get into Dan because he's the AI engineer, and me and you, we're gonna get thick on that. We'll geek out in a little bit, but man, Jordan Arsenault just told me this: if you can't delete it or delegate it, then you don't need it, or something like that. If it's taking too much time, or you're on the same thing, you shouldn't be on the same thing as you are.
So I'll give you guys an example, right? And this is real life for me every time, and I did the time audit. And I find that I was spending a lot of time in my email. And I would open my email, specifically when I'm on vacation and I haven't checked it for a couple hours. And I've got, and look, because I'm the team leader, all of the DocuSigns come to me, all of the marketing comes, just so much stuff that's like, you said it either needs to be delegated or it needs to be deleted. Well, it takes energy for me to just get in there and either delegate or delete it. So my operations director, he said, hey, let's look at this Fixer AI app that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about. And what's really cool about it, we did a demo yesterday, and what it does is it breaks your categories into 8 different buckets, right? And it's all color-coded. So when you look at it based on the bucket, right, that it drops it in, you can just look at it and say, number 1 is respond, meaning it's red. That needs my attention. Number 2, which is like FYI, which is like a green. It's just kind of like, you can look at this if you want to, but it's probably not really important, right?
Wow.
And then there's a bunch of them. Like one of them was marketing, and I realized like how many marketing emails I get from like other companies, like, or even like Sheplac sends out a ton of emails. Well, some of it's really good stuff, and I need to read, but like if it's Sheplac and Sunit and Nick McLean all sending the same email, they all go now into my marketing. So like I can go and I don't need to respond to those. So I go check the marketing folder maybe like 45 minutes to an hour later, and I just focus on my inbox and just focus on the red stuff. So like something as easy as like, and look, I'm incredibly efficient with my time, meaning if there's a hack for it, I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
And if it can save me 1 minute, and I look at my my time. And I would encourage everybody to figure out what is their dollar per hour rate. And I can tell you my dollar per hour rate is somewhere between $3 and $350. Okay.
Well, how do you get your dollar per hour rate? How do you?
So you basically you take how much money you make and you divide that by 2,000.
2,000?
Yeah.
Why 2,000?
And I forget what the
That's
2,000.
okay. I'll trust you.
But it's Dan Martell told me to do it. So I
Well,
mean, even
yeah,
if you
I'm
took
doing
your
it.
daily rate and you divided it by 40, or took your weekly or monthly rate, and you divided that by how many hours are you working in a day. I mean, anybody can do it. It's just reverse engineering, right? And then once you do that and you find out what your dollar per hour time limit is, or return on your time is, then you say, if anything is less than this, and it doesn't have to be, if it's $100 an hour deal, I'll probably still do it. But I'm not doing $45 an hour work, meaning I don't even own lawn equipment. I haven't owned lawn equipment in like forever because it cost me $45 to have my lawn mowed.
Yeah.
But it would take me forever because I'm a perfectionist. I want the lines to be tight. But if somebody else does it, I don't care what it looks like. I just come home and it's done, and it cost me $45.
Wow. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Life hacks. Let's talk about things that speed you up, make you more productive.
Yeah.
We know Dan Martell. I love Dan Martell because I'm going to say this. His videographer and the guy who runs his stuff, I know him, I met him. He got him a Porsche because he saw the value in him, and he builds into that guy. And that's why Dan Martell is unmatched because he does what you do. You see him, and he's into big AI. So what I want to do right now is break through the alien. When I hear AI, I think aliens. AI is different, right? So there's called this thing an AI stack. So what I want to do is kind of simplify the AI because I know you and your team are really diverse, and I think people use AI as more of like a calculator or a barometer, and people fear what they don't know.
Yeah, of course.
But with ChatGPT, when I say AI, that's ChatGPT, that's Claude, that's all these things that speed you up.
Large language model.
Large language model.
LLM.
And then you taught me. What was that other one?
Oh, Grok, baby.
Grok, not Gronk, not the big
Gronk,
group.
but Grok. Yeah,
Grok. So, what ChatGPT does and what it allows you to do, you can literally just open it up, and then download it, and then generate a lot of things, right?
Anything you want.
And so it speeds things up.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, what are some things that you are doing with Grok that possibly could speed or help or systematize? Because I feel like we don't need more stamina. We need more systems.
Of course.
And that's what this allows us to do. So how do you handle AI or ChatGPT, or what does all that even mean?
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, again, large language model. So, understanding not only large language model and what it means, but also like how these different AI platforms can help you achieve what you're looking to do, right? So there's only so much information, meaning like ChatGPT has information up to a certain point. Now that's changing daily. Now they're changing their models, and as their models are changing, they've got more relevant new information. It's so funny because I have the paid version of ChatGPT. I also have Super Grok, which is the paid version.
What's
of
okay?
Grok.
Let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
Like, how much does it cost between? Because right now I got so many subscriptions.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need, or like, what's the difference between ChatGPT paid? How much is that? $20 a month?
$29, I think.
Okay, so ChatGPT paid is $29
or $25. I don't know.
And then there's also isn't there like another level?
Operator.
And what's operator level?
$200.
$200 a month?
Yeah.
And why would you need an operator?
Depends on what you want to use it for, right? So we're operator. You could literally tell operator. Operator is basically becoming what's called an AI agent. An AI agent is consider it an employee. Consider it like a human being that can actually do tasks for you. That's AI agent. That's where we're moving to. So operator is like the first version of, and I say first version, I mean, there's people out there who are going to correct me because they're deeper in the matrix than I am. But I'm pretty deep in the matrix, by the way. He calls me Neo, which
Morpheus.
I love. I mean, I'm Morpheus.
You're Morpheus,
you're
bro.
Neo. I'm Morpheus. But I'm nowhere near as in the matrix with AI as other people are. But I know enough to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I know enough to make me incredibly efficient. And I'm building on that every single day. So when you understand what they are and what they can do, and what really separates ChatGPT apart from, say, Grok, and the reason I like Grok and actually have paid versions of both is I play with both. I may ask it one question in one and the other question in the other, and I've actually asked it like, hey, Grok, what makes you superior to ChatGPT? Why would I use ChatGPT over Grok and vice versa? And it'll tell you why. It says, look, I'm really good at this. Grok, ChatGPT is really good at this. So it's really cool. Like, they identify and they know this is what I'm superior or inferior at. Use the other one as you please. So I'll just like to kind of mess around. Now, I like Grok specifically for the reason that, a lot of people don't know this. ChatGPT runs on Bing's search engine, okay? Elon built a search engine that no one even knows about. He never even talked about it. He just built his own search engine.
Wait, when you say Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, yeah. So Elon Musk owns Grok, right? So Grok was AI built by Elon Musk and all his engineers, right?
And doesn't Grok, if it's built like Elon, doesn't it have like a dry humor like Elon?
You can actually, it's so cool because you can choose however you want it to respond to you. You can give it its own personality, which is pretty odd. Like, we don't have enough time in a day, much less an hour, to talk about AI and all the cool shit that it's going to do. But I want to share a few things that I think are important for at least people to just be aware of.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay? What I like about Grok, and I'll finish this so we can move on, but it is the only large language model that is connected to a live social media platform. Meaning, if it's happening on X, it has access to X right now. ChatGPT doesn't have that ability to get information that dude, you want to know why you're stuck in traffic in Baton Rouge right now? Get on X. It's going to tell you there is an accident on the bridge. ChatGPT can tell you that. I mean, Grok can tell you that. ChatGPT is not going to have that. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people are going to move to where they're using Elon or Grok and ChatGPT and Perplexity and some of these other ones. That's going to be the way that they use for search moving forward, right? So if you're not like familiar with these things and you're a company and you're building your marketing and your branding and things like that, and you're not like, where do I rank on these large language models? There's an opportunity there. So I'll tell you, man, I'm listening, and if anybody listens to Diary of a CEO, I would say that's probably my favorite podcast that exists right now. And there was a debate, and I sent you this video yesterday, and it's an AI debate. And they had a guy, he was a biology, oh man, I'm going to butcher this. But this guy is like,
complicated stuff.
And he uses the terms. He uses simplicity, complicated, and complex is the three things he talks about. And he's like, people can solve complicated problems. People, meaning us, cannot solve complex. AI can solve complex problems. And as this technology gets bigger and faster and smarter, I believe that there is a huge world of abundance out there if you know how to use this technology. So I think it's going to be a separation. And I think this, it's good, but I also think there's probably some bad that will come out of it. But if anybody's hearing me here, like, you got to get in and you got to learn it. You got to play with it. You got to ask it questions. I mean, voice, you and I use voice between ChatGPT and Grok all the time now, and I'll be super transparent. I mean, I'm literally like feeding everything into my life into this thing so it can learn everything about me, so it can help me be more efficient, make better decisions, faster decisions, find holes in my business and where like better strategies for things that we can do to be more profitable and be better agents and advisors and consultants to our clients. Like that's why I'm winning.
Yeah, you are, man. And look, the ChatGPT, I think that's one reason we kind of clicked, and then the marketing director clicked, and a few people got in it, and I'm like, I'm so sick of hearing about ChatGPT, and now there's Grok or, what all these names, how do I know which one? And a lot of people just give up. But I think like with what I learned about ChatGPT, I call it Alfred now because I say it so much, and I don't want to burn people out because I'll geek out on this. Like, people will come up to me and they're like, oh Lord, I got my whole neighborhood on ChatGPT because we actually had a break-in yesterday, and the police came and everything, and we got Ring camera videos. So what happened was we got them on camera and everybody was freaking out. Well, I pay the $200 a month ChatGPT operator version.
Yeah, you got operator, bro.
Because, man, it just generates so much. I've got so much generating on the back end, SOPs, shot lists. I'm talking podcasts, I mean, you could drop a podcast link and just get everything from it, right? I record everything, everything I do is documented. And there's just certain things that if you know how to do, I tell people all ChatGPT is Siri on steroids. And if you know how to talk to it like a third grader or like a little kid, like that's all it is. It's teaching us how to communicate again.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's one thing that I feel is going to change the world with ChatGPT that you've helped me discover as well, and actually a realtor out of Lafayette, Bryce, is the one who kind of showed me the way of how if you could start documenting. So once you start paying, it remembers things.
Yes.
And so if you incorporate things of, hey, from now on, I want to start time stamping my life.
Yeah.
And on this date, I'm going to introduce you to this person in my life. And I want you to rank this person and the benefits. And man, you could just get lost, right?
Lost.
So I really like that. And then my buddy Hunter, he's making voiceovers that sound like Morgan Freeman, right? So we can get lost in the sauce.
We can, man.
Right? But I think the biggest thing I've found too is your mental health, your environment. And you can customize and build a whole reality that benefits you. Mine's is custom to motivation. I have it themed after the Matrix.
Yeah, I know. I know you do.
So like there's any type of bravado or things, and I have my mom a custom GPT.
Yeah.
And what really done this for me was Bryce.
Yeah.
He created a custom GPT bot, right?
Yep.
And so a custom GPT bot is anything that, you have your ChatGPT, but there's also custom things that people make surrounding, that type of field. He figured out how to generate it and talk to it and prompt it, as Dan Martell says, AI engineering it based upon what he was doing. And he sold a bot, I think it was like $10,000 to $15,000 to a barbershop, built for the barbershop.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do that.
Yeah.
And I made one for my neighborhood watch yesterday after the break-in, so everyone can just copy, paste, and load into their app. Yeah. And now it's built for home defense. It's built for everything that a neighborhood watch can do. Because I generated a security company. Ty Graves has a security guard, big body, and he follows Theo, and he does some really good work. But I always like thinking about another lane for someone to do easier work and be more of them, right? So we came along with the security, and I generated a whole security force company based off a New Orleans based dude, I'm talking crazy, so with all of that, it can all tie in and you get lost. But I have a whole neighborhood watch now, and everybody on my block, the police came, the Baton Rouge police came, I think it was Officer Murphy, and look, the Baton Rouge police, any police, he ain't worried about no breaking. He just come back from somebody getting shot in the face, and it's daily, right? Yeah. So, I think being able to take something, generate an idea, and most people, they don't like ideas because they feel like they can't follow through, and sometimes it's just all ideas, no execution. But you got to plant that seed.
So I'm glad you said that, and I believe that's everything, right? So people ask me all the time, difference between successful people, non-successful people, successful agents, non-successful agents. What do they do? And it's exactly that. Like, everybody has these ideas, but you've got to take disciplined execution and take action. Yeah. And that is literally, like, that's it. Like, what we try to do, or what we do, I don't even say we try to do it, we do this. We tell our agents exactly what to do. We give them all of the tools that they need in order to be successful. But I can't do it for you, right? You've got to come in and you've got to execute on the plan.
Yeah. I got a question real quick. Sorry, I got to get it out. Why, I hear some things about real estate, and I'm not familiar with real estate, but why wouldn't somebody want to join a team of, high performers like you? I mean, you offer coaching, you offer a lot. Like, how does someone join up to that? Or like, why wouldn't someone do that? Like, I don't understand, because I've heard a few things like you make more money by yourself, but I have come to understand, the team is how you go farther,
Yeah, that's a great, and you're right. So I think for most people, when they hear about a team, yes, do you pay the team a higher percentage of your commission than you would keep if you were on your own? 100%. But guess what? Objection, so like money or fees or commissions are only an objection in the absence of value. Okay? Meaning there's a lot of people out there that are asking you to give them a lot, but they're not giving you the value in return. So I guess the question is like, would you rather keep 50% of something or 0% of nothing? What would you take?
Yeah, something.
You take 50% of nothing, right? I mean, you take 50% of something, not 100% of nothing. So a lot of people get caught up in the splits, and they think that they're going to net more money, when in reality, if you go back and you study the MREA and you realize like you have a few different things, and I don't want to like get like super complicated, but just like really simple business. So commission check comes in, that's the revenue. Okay. Then you have what's called cost of sales. So if you work for a real estate broker, you have to pay a real estate broker something, right? In most cases, it's going to be somewhere between probably 20 and 30%. So say you're paying them 30%. So like at Keller Williams, it's 36% that you would pay in cost of sales. So 30% of that would go to the market center, and then 6% of that is going to go to Keller Williams International for a royalty, right? So I don't care who you work for. Unless you're an independent person and you work for yourself, you're going to pay somebody. So you've got your revenue, then the brokerage gets theirs. Oh, then you have expenses. So like, so let's say Taylor's going to come out and he's going to film my listing. He's going to do video, and he's going to help me with some social media, right? Oh, I got to buy signs and lock boxes. Oh shit, I got to pay for that too. Man, I want coaching. Oh, okay, that's going to cost me an extra $1,500 a month, right? Oh, I need to rent some office space. I got to get a printer. You know what I mean? Like just think about just general business expenses.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to generate leads. And I tell you the most expensive thing in the world right now, like if you want to go pay for Zillow leads, which I have exclusive partnership with Zillow, right? Those leads are going to cost you anywhere between $350 and $500 a call every time your phone rings. And if you don't convert that, that's $500 that just went out the door.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? So like for most people, so if I was a new real estate agent, which I was 15 years ago, I joined a team, right? And what I did was I leveraged that team so I could learn, I could grow my database. I could basically leverage the team and the transaction coordination and the marketing director and the operations director. And then until there was a point to where like I was going to net more money on my own, I was going to stay a part of the team. So for most people, and I have agents that have been on my team for 7 years. Well, there's a reason they're still on the team, because they still feel like they're getting value from being on the team. So yes, I think the biggest objection for most people, or it's pride. Right? A lot of people want to go out and they want to do this on their own, and they want to build their own brand, and they want to build, their own business. And I respect this. I respect that to a level. It's hard, man. In 2022, or excuse me, 22, 23, and 24, the least amount of home sales since 1995. Okay. So everybody's like, oh, it's hard out there. Like, yeah, it's hard. The least amount of home sales. And guess what? Right now in 2025, we're flat year over year. We're not even up or down a full % in pending or closed sales. Now, we've seen our inventory go up, but guess what's crazy? We continue to see the median sales price and the average sales price go up 2 to 3% per year. So which doesn't make any sense. Economics says that if it's harder, so days on market's up, inventory is pretty flat. Well, inventory is actually on the rise a little bit, but pending sales are flat and sold. One would think that home prices should be going down, right? Seems pretty just like supply demand kind of thing, right? Like normal economics 101, but that's not what's happening. So I think people are confused of like, and they're all telling me the same thing. Oh, it's hard. Well, you should embrace that as hard. I don't want to do anything that's easy, because if it's easy for me, it's probably easy for a lot of other people. I want to be gritty, right? I want to do the things that everybody else doesn't want to do, and if I can do them and I can be consistent, I'll be successful.
I love that. The more valuable you become, the more uses you have, and everyone, no matter what you do in life, I think a lot of times we get caught up in our identity and our roles and our titles, and we compare ourselves with other people. And
can we stop there? What you just said?
Yeah.
So I say it all the time, man. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think it's important to be inspired. Now, let me say that. I think you should definitely be inspired by other people. I think you should be exposed to other people, and you should say, I like what they have. I like what they drive. I would love to make the amount of money.
A healthy,
but you're right. A healthy inspiration, motivation. And not a comparison of I wish I was more like, you don't know what that person's going through.
No. And I think that the ticket, a lot of people, you mentioned earlier, the difference between abundance mindset and what was fixed.
Yeah.
So I have a mental health coach and everything like that. Reggie, I've had him, through my life. He's helped me, leave my job where I busted my ass and had to leave the family, and he's the one who helped me see my value and my worth. And I think when that gets lost because it's so loud or you got so many people involved and you scattered, you don't have systems, you don't have someone to pull you out the weeds like Morpheus, then it becomes difficult, right? So I think the importance, I mean, we know of abundance mindset and scarcity mindset is another one.
Yeah, so scarcity
is basically what you're saying that word is.
Fixed inevitably says that I can only learn so much. I can't
see nothing else.
Scarcity is more of like, man, I'm scared. Like there's not enough. Okay, so like, so an agent may say, well, like, since they're selling all the real estate, that's not enough for me, right?
Correct.
There's just
it's
not
shut
enough.
Down.
Yeah,
it's a reaction.
So exactly what it is. So it creates paralysis.
Yeah.
So the abundant mindset and the mindset, and this is what we probably preach more than anything, is like you've got to be right here before you can be right anywhere else. I believe that. So for me, like what I do is like mental condition every single day. And I'll tell you, I start with the Bible every day because I believe that is the best personal development book. And you know, because you and I share scripture back and forth, Vincent and I mean, like that is the foundation of. And if you read it, you're like, oh, I know where these personal development frameworks came from. Mm-hmm. They came from the book.
Yeah.
So I read that and I believe, you know, everything that God said in the Bible is true. And that's I live on faith. Mm-hmm. And I think we all have to, whatever that faith is for you, you've got to have something, a belief system. So whatever it is, and again, I'm not here to say Christianity is superior over. I'm just saying that's my belief, and that's what, and it's helping me. And then and God told me, you know, son, child, I will give you joyfully everything in this kingdom. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
I love that.
Right, and I have a few, you know, that I go back to. You know, Ephesians 3:20, where he says, I will give you an abundantly more and exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever imagine. Yeah. And I just think about that, like, and I think what happens to most people is they get into what's called imposter syndrome, right? I don't deserve it. Why me? Why not you?
I love that. And you mentioned something just now. You said, why not me? So then they're in the scarcity mindset. But you said something just now that connected the dot for me. When you said, when you're in that mindset, you get paralyzed.
You get paralyzed.
And so scarcity, I know a lot of people who are used to working and are used to old school, non-traditional methods. When things get wild, they shut down and they just get back to grunt work because that makes them feel like they're productive, and they're in a scarcity mindset. Yeah. And, you know, having your team and other teams can pull someone back into abundance mindset, and now you operate differently. So you're not looking at what did you do in 8 hours, because now what I'm learning, 3 hours got to be dedicated to building relationships, right?
100%.
So, you know, there's so many times in a day that you got so much to do, and I just find it so impressive how you're able to manage things and maneuver things. You know, you have that moral code scripturally. You know, a lot of times people, they have struggle and get caught up on little details. But Vincent, you know, we go eat breakfast every Friday, Ruby, Slipper, and then right there we have, you know, just a good solid thing, not pushy. You know, there's a time and place for it all.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you would just like every day of the month, there's a new month. So Proverbs is like a really solid book to start.
Best,
like today's the
wisdom, bro.
12th day, read the 12th chapter. But you know, my favorite scripture, and I'm living it, and you know, I always talk to Gordon about this. Because just, you know, this used to be a garage, like garage. And I told G, I was like, G, come on, we do not, you could do better. You know what I mean? Like, let's, and he was like, trust me. Yeah. And so it's all about trust, and it's all about, you know, building those things, you know, to invest in the next person. Because if the people around you are good, you know, everybody is good.
Well, yeah, so that's your environment. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a toxic environment, you know, they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, man, I just want to spend time with a bunch of doers. I want to spend time with Christian men. I want to spend time with people who want better for themselves, for their families, their wives, their kids, their business, right? Their friends, their relationships. Yeah. Those are the people that I want to surround myself with. So if I'm not hanging out and surrounding myself with people who are doing life bigger than me, and that's all where exposure comes in, man. So having the right environment and being exposed to more, right? So what happens is like you keep raising your ceiling. And one of the things that I want to mention is like I had a deep dive on what my purpose was. You know, and my purpose is to elevate, is to inspire, it's to help people in my world agents, friends, anybody wants to pick up the phone and call me, help them remove limiting beliefs and chase their dreams with unwavering determination. That's why I'm on this earth, man. That's why I'm here. And if I can, if anything I say today or anytime I say anything around anybody, my goal is like, how am I going to, like, how is this person going to leave better than they showed up?
Love that.
That's all I want, man. And that's what's
that.
really important to me is like, if you spend some time with me, I want you to look back and say, man, I really enjoyed my time with Trey. You know what I mean? I feel like I definitely got a lot of value, and I feel like I'm better for that.
Yeah, you definitely are, man. I mean, every time we leave, I just feel supercharged, you know. And I see it, you know, I see you interact with people, and I see how people talk about you, and it's very respectable. And I really love that. And, you know, everything you just said, probably to close it out here, you know, being around that environment and that consistency. I was just saying, I got sidetracked, but I think my favorite scripture is what I'm living now. And I believe it's like Proverbs 19:29 or 29:19. It says, a man skilled in his craft will stand amongst kings, not ordinary people, right? Yeah. And so my whole thing with this, with you, you know, we don't care about, you know, certain things, the likes, whatever. People going to say what they want.
Sure.
Everyone's got their own version of you.
That's right.
In their head. But at the end of the day, what we are doing is showing people a quicker route, a cheaper route. We spent the money, we spent the time, we spent the heartache to do this. And we want to be able to give you this to speed you up. Because, look, we lived that hard life, and I hate to see you breaking your back. Like, I want to see you home. I got a neighbor, you know, he busts his ass. He's middle-aged like me. You know, things not going right. They come home and they play Call of Duty. Yeah. And then they go back to work and miserable all over again. And I'm like, bro, you like Call of Duty? I was like, you know what? Editing in videos is like a big open world video game. Because when I was little, going back and forth from my parents' house, I was walking around with a PlayStation. My little brother was carrying the cords. I'm like, y'all got a TV? So like, the imagination. So
but you said something just now, right? So choice, right? We all have a choice. The choice is we can spend our time. Again, this is the whole intentionality into doing something. Like for me, I come home every day. I spend some time with my kiddos, but as I'm starting to wind down, I have like 3 books I'm reading right now. The Simple Path to Wealth, right? Which I'd love to talk about that another day, because I feel like I'm on this like wealth train right now, and like finding, you said simplicity, right? So I operate from a simplistic standpoint. I cannot have complex systems or processes in my life. If it's not simple, I don't want it. Dan Martell's How to Buy Back Your Time, and there was another one, Financial Independence, by Michael Kohler, who's a anyway. So I'm constantly reading all the time, but I'm reading because I again, the abundant mindset in me says like, this is a better use of my time than Netflix and chilling. Sure. Now my wife and I Netflix and chill when the time is right. You know, when we want to unwind and stuff like that. But like the rest of the time, like I'm very routine and disciplined on what I eat. Everybody knows that like I'm eating out of a Tupperware container. All of my meals except for, and I say all of my meals, I mean, I cook my own breakfast. You know, I'm going to go to the office here in a few minutes and have my 2 Greek yogurts with my blueberry and honey for my pre-workout.
Ooh, God,
you know,
dang.
Do post-workout.
How much you got of that?
I know, right? I got some. I got enough. Let's go. But my point is, all that is like I'm very like visually, I know exactly the way I want to look, and I know exactly what I need to do in order to achieve that look. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna do my cardio. I'm gonna eat my meals. You know what I mean? And I operate in routine.
Yeah, and you got to see it. That's one thing. You know, you just said it. Like, I saw so much of what you have now. Yeah, you know. And
I was exposed to it, and I still am exposed to it, right? And you have to seek that stuff out. And also, like, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. I mean, you and I got connected through Vincent. You and I have been friends now for several months, and like,
how did we even meet?
You came over to Vincent's house for Christmas. Remember?
Oh, wow.
And you were just hanging out there. And I knew who you were because I followed you on social media. I saw all your content. I'm like, this guy's uber talented. And then it's just like God's going to put certain people in your life when the time and the season is right.
Amen. Right in your path, too.
I know, man. And you and I, like, we're going deep in. And a lot of this is business building, standard operating procedures. You know what I mean? Videography, like growing and scaling businesses is like we're meant to be in each other's life for the season, and I hope that season continues forever. Absolutely. Right? And then we're friends forever. But like, don't be afraid to like. What's so cool about social media, for the most part, is like accessibility to someone is like one click away.
It's a DM. One DM.
And if somebody like, so I'll tell this quick story. So my wife and several of my agents went to this event. It's called Bold, and it's put on by Keller Williams. And what it is bold. It teaches you how to be bold, do things you normally wouldn't do, how to grow your business, how to have the right mindset. And she said that there was 2 people who stood up and they asked them, they said, if you could mastermind with anybody in this industry, didn't say locally, didn't say anything, who would it be? 2 people from her table stood up and said my name.
Wow.
And Whitney told me that, and I'm like, man, like almost like tears coming to my eyes. Like, obviously I have some sort of influence over these people, but I said, Whitney, what was their names? And she's like, oh man, Trey, I don't remember, but I'll get it from Kaylin. Kaylin's she's an agent on my team, but she's also their their leader for their like little pod or whatever.
Yeah.
So I texted Kaylin. I said, Kaylin, who were the 2 guys that mentioned my name at the thing? And she sent both their phone numbers. I text both of them immediately, and I said, hey, what are you doing next week? I can carve out about an hour of my time, and I'd love to sit down with you so we can mastermind.
That's awesome.
And I'm meeting with them next week.
Bro, that right there, that's just the brave enough people who mentioned it. How many people don't even interact and we think it's quiet, but they're watching, man. They're why you run into people and they act like they pick up on. I'm like, how you knew all that? But whatever you post, people are gonna watch.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the thing, I got a buddy making 40 grand on YouTube a month, walking around with a GoPro. I'm like, I'm doing the wrong thing. But it's because he's hitting post.
He is,
the edits ain't crazy.
Well, it's consistency.
It's consistency.
Yeah.
That's it. And so, in the field we're understanding a lot of things. You bring a lot and understand a different avenue, whereas I'm involved in a trench doing that. You got Tyler over there making clones, and, doing all kinds of things.
Yeah,
right?
You want to tell them about that? So you have a couple things, right? We talk about artificial intelligence. So one of the things we did a few months ago is we cloned my voice. So now 11 Labs, we took all of my content on the internet and everything, videos I've done, and literally uploaded everything. It is literally cloned my voice to the T.
Wow.
And now we can use that. And then Hey Jen has an avatar of an AI Trey that can literally, like, I could sit here, the AI Trey, with my voice, with my avatar, and most people would not know that wasn't me. So, like, just to tell people of, like, the world that we're living in right now and the abundance, it's bananas, dude.
Dude, like I said, I had somebody break into the house yesterday, and I got the Ring camera. I took the picture of the dude, posted it, and said, enhance this image, and then make a most wanted poster in Baton Rouge. I got a whole, if you live on Government Street in downtown Baton Rouge, I just started a neighborhood watch with my team, and because man, the crime, everything, the officers, we got to do something.
Okay, but that just shows what you did. That shows you're a true operator. Like, you literally saw a problem and you were like, I'm going to solve this problem. And you went to work and you used the technology and your skill level and all the things that you had as resources to do something that in the world 3 years ago would have taken months to do.
Yeah.
It took you seconds.
Damn,
that's
bro.
wild, bro.
I appreciate that. And see, like, sometimes we get desensitized and we don't realize, and we start talking, they like, bro, chill. You ain't
right.
And so
there's many people that are listening to this right now that we went off on our AI tangent that were like,
but there's some guys, there's some guys who's still here. And if you still here, you know what? You're not crazy, and everyone's gonna think it's not producing and just you good. You're on track.
Yeah, just keep
going. If
going.
you listen to this right now, they're at a level where
the thing I preach to my agents and just anybody in general all the time is you can't focus on the results. You have to focus on the process. And if you can fall in love with the process and be consistent with the process, you will have success. It may not happen instantly, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because look, once you get the trophy, guess what happens? It's on to the next trophy.
You got on to the next
one. On to the next one.
Yeah.
I was going to show the AI clone that I had did, but basically cloned myself and spoken 10 different languages.
Yeah, I saw the Spanish version of Taylor.
Yeah, so that's what we got. We got some cool stuff going on in the firm, and having the ability to have Gordon available to provide things like this.
This is insane, by the way. Thank you, Gordon.
It's just what he's doing for people. Our paths cross, the G water, the living water, so paths cross when they're supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not able to unlock a next level of life until you understand that lesson. And only certain people can cross your path at that time to teach it. And that's what, Gordon's allowed. Look how many people he's helped building brands. I mean, so much can come from an idea with execution. And so that's where, the processors, influencers, they can't get that content out. They're like, hey, how y'all doing it over there, right? And that's where collaboration is
100%,
the key.
man.
So, bro, we could talk all day.
Bruh,
this was good.
This is so good.
I blacked out. I always black out whenever I do these things. But
I think we're supposed to talk about real estate. We didn't talk about real estate. We talked a little bit about real estate.
It's all related.
But if anybody has any questions,
how do they find you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so I'm really easy to find. Trey.Willard on Instagram, Trey.Willard, or just Facebook.com/Trey Willard, all one word there. I mean, I'm super easy to find.
Yeah.
Man.
Love that. Well, here's how this I think is going to be easier to find you.
Yeah.
You mentioned about masterminds and
Yeah.
There's marketing events around Baton Rouge. I'm now Neighborhood Watch on Government Street. So I think what would be cool is there's a pickleball place that's about to open up.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yeah, on Burbank.
Yeah.
So I think what would be cool, maybe we get with the owners, maybe do a mastermind, once they get set.
I want to do even better. So let's do a mastermind, but also want to do a team culture, team building event there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what,
Are
I'm
you good
ate
with
up.
pickleball?
Bro, I'm ate up with pickleball right now.
What's 8 up? Is that good or bad?
Oh, good.
Oh, really?
Like, my boy Lewis
Okay.
Kobetz done hooked me up with 3 different paddles, playing every
Pickleball.
Wednesday night at U Club.
Lord.
Yeah.
So Gordon, everything's a sport to Gordon.
Yeah, it's
and
awesome.
he don't lose. He never loses. He's skilled and he's gonna learn. So he's good in pickleball. He's good in golf. He's good. So like, I got to get good before I go in front of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'll
we're
take
gonna
you
have
out there.
that. We'll have a celebrity match and have everybody around.
That'd be fun.
Realtors.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay,
Let's
cool.
do it.
Well, all right, guys. Well, that's gonna be enough. Poor Brandon's back there, little fingers hurting, but he's the man. And so, if y'all got any more information you want to reach out, get Gordon's studio, the Garage Podcast. Come see Brandon over here. And if you're new into real estate, you want to speed up, save some time, reach out to Trey and his team at the W Group. And if you want to learn something, you got to go to whoever's doing it.
That's right.
So that's what we got to do. Theo Vaughn, holla at me, brother. And we'll close it
Theo,
out.
he's from Mandeville.
Theo's from Mandeville. He's
Yeah,
a
man.
hometown boy, Covington.
Yeah, he used to be best friends. Kent Walker, one of my business partners, his wife, Courtney.
I love
like
Theo.
best friends in the world, man.
He speaks, man. He speaks from the heart.
He's a
local
funny guy.
boy.
Man. I like that guy.
Yeah, but all he did was, I didn't say all he did. He put in work, but he keeps showing up.
He does keep showing up.
So go post that podcast, y'all.
Let's go.
All right. Have a good one.